My whole family was reborn. In the previous life, my father, my mother, my elder brother, and my younger brother all protected the fake heiress. After they were all reborn, the fake heiress asked my father for a big house, but my father let me live in it instead. The fake heiress wanted my genius younger brother to tutor her, but he only followed me around, begging to tutor me instead. The fake heiress wanted her superstar older brother to visit her at school, but when he came, he only had eyes for me. The fake heiress wanted the diamond necklace handmade by my mom, but instead, my mother put it around my neck. Mia, how could you destroy your sister's room like this? Don't you know this is very wrong? My mother pointed at the red paint splattered all over the wall and the crudely written, die, characters, scolding me. The fake heiress Fiona sobbed. Mom, don't blame my sister. It's my fault for still staying in this house. She is your real daughter after all. No matter how kind I am to her, she'll still resent me. She probably just made the wall look so scary to vent her anger. I'll move out today. Just pretend you never raised me. When I earn enough money in the future, I'll come back to take care of you and Dad. Her big eyes brimmed with tears, looking pitifully delicate like a fragile white flower. She even put on an act of going to fetch the suitcase, preparing to pack her clothes. My mom hurried to comfort her. A young man's impatient and indifferent voice came from the living room. Let Mia live in the dorm. If she can't get used to it, get her an apartment outside the school. Since she came back, this house hasn't had a moment of peace. It's my brother Harry. After saying that, he went to the study to play video games. My mother frowned, thought for a few minutes, and then spoke wearily and helplessly. Mia, how about you move out for a while? There are several high-end residential complexes near the school that belong to our company. I'll have someone take you to pick a furnished one, and you can bring a nanny along. Hearing that my mother was about to kick me out, Fiona looked at me with undisguised triumph. Actually, the red paint splashed on her bedroom wall and the terrifying die were all her own doing. She did this to frame me, just to drive me out of this family. In the 6 months since I was brought back, this kind of trick has been played almost every day, not just at home, even at school. No one cared when Fiona's lackeys bullied me in every possible way. In my previous life, I devoted all my energy to fighting against her, resisting, and trying to please my family. As a result, I failed the college entrance exam and died in depression. Now that I've been reborn, I've decided to abandon my family. Even if my father is the chairman of a conglomerate, my mother is a designer for a top jewelry brand. My brother is a superstar, and my younger brother is a top student. I don't want them anymore. My mother, seeing that I remained silent, thought I was feeling upset and softened her tone. You can go take a look at the houses first. If none of them suit you, you can always come back. I said, I'll move. I cut her off decisively. My mother was taken aback. Seems they didn't expect me to agree so readily. After all, for the past 6 months, I've been trying my best to fit into this family. No matter how fiercely I argued with Fiona, I never once mentioned moving out. I ignored them completely, not even bothering to explain. It's not like my mom or Harry would believe me anyway if I told them Fiona was the one who painted the wall like a horror movie set. I went straight to my room to pack the luggage I had brought from the orphanage. While I was packing, the door to my room was pushed open. It was my dad, James. James is a workaholic, constantly flying all over the world. In my previous life, after I returned, I could count the number of times I saw him on one hand. I still remember that Thanksgiving night when the family had a rare reunion dinner. Fiona affectionately held my arm in front of the family and sweetly called me her sister, yet behind my back, she pushed me, completely unprepared, into the swimming pool. She immediately jumped in after me, pretending to save me, but screamed even more pitifully than I did in the water. This drew everyone's attention to rescue her first, while I nearly drowned on the very day I was brought back. Being straightforward, I pointed at her as soon as I was pulled ashore and told James she had pushed me. Fiona then cried, feigning innocence and playing the victim. To put it mildly, I couldn't tolerate her and was looking for a reason to kick her out. I thought James, managing such a large company, would surely see through her act and stand up for justice on my behalf. However, James just stared at me coldly and sternly told me to provide evidence, warning me not to be so narrow-minded at such a young age. He didn't have the patience to hear another word of my defense and pushed the matter to my mom to handle. My mother never asked about right or wrong. She just played the peacemaker, coaxing and soothing from both sides. In the end, the matter was left unresolved. From then on, no matter what happened to me, even when Fiona ordered her followers to corner me in the school bathroom, strip me naked, and drench me in urine. I never uttered a word of complaint in front of James again. When James came in just now, I thought he had heard Fiona's one-sided account and was here to scold me. I didn't even glance at him, speeding up the motion of gathering the clothes in my hands. Yet when James came in, he didn't utter a single word of reproach, striding over. He immediately wrapped his arms around me. He held me so tightly, his voice filled with pain and hoarseness. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, my daughter. Dad is so sorry to you. He was crying as he spoke, his shoulders trembling with overwhelming emotion. Gone was the usual aloof and unapproachable coffin-board demeanor. My mom, Fiona, and our butler Bob all came running at the sound, at the sight of this scene. All three of them were utterly dumbfounded. I wondered, could it be that upon hearing I was moving out, James had finally regained some paternal conscience, feeling I'd been wronged, hence his rare display of emotion coming to stop me. But whether he stops me or not, I've already made up my mind not to stay in this house any longer. With the painful experiences of my past life behind me, I will never be moved by family ties again in this lifetime. With a cold expression, I pushed him away, picked up my packed luggage, and left. Where are you going? Mia, my dad finally calmed down a bit, grabbed my arm, and asked anxiously, I'm moving out. I know, Mia, this family has made you unhappy. Don't worry, as long as I'm here, I won't let you suffer any more grievances. Just as my mom and Fiona were about to say something, Butler Bob rushed to defend Fiona. Mr. James, please go to Fiona's room and see for yourself, Mia. She splashed red paint all over Fiona's walls and wrote multiple bloody death characters. My dad frowned. I thought he was going to scold me harshly like he did in my previous life, and my heart couldn't help but tighten slightly. But instead, my dad gently patted my head and said, this is Mia's home. Everything here belongs to Mia. What's a ruined wall? As long as she's happy, she can tear the whole house down if she wants. I'm puzzled. The other three people present had the same reaction as me. I just couldn't believe it. My dad turned his head again, looking at Fiona and my mom. His eyes turned stern, and his face instantly became as cold as ice. Just because of this little thing, you want to kick my Mia out? We were still frozen in place, still unable to believe it. I never expected my dad to stand up for me like this. Fiona's eyes immediately turned red. Putting on the same acting performance she had shown in front of my mom earlier, tears streamed down her face as she sobbed pitifully. Dad, Mom didn't drive Sister away, none of us did. Sister drew something really scary on my wall, and Mom just told her not to do it again. She was the one who insisted on leaving. Mom couldn't even stop her. Seeing that I remained silent, this green tea bitch really thought I was mute. Still trying to frame me, I couldn't hold back anymore and spoke up. Believe it or not, I didn't touch the paint or the words on the wall. I had barely finished speaking when my dad immediately responded, I believe you. The tone in which my dad uttered those two words was resolute and firm, leaving no room for doubt. It was so startling that even Fiona, who had been putting on an Oscar-worthy performance, forgot to keep acting and just stared at my dad in stunned silence. I was dumbfounded too. My mom probably didn't believe it either and said, Honey, you didn't see how terrifying the drawings Mia made on Fiona's wall were. Didn't you hear Mia clearly? She said she didn't draw it, jumping to conclusions without asking or investigating. Is this how you act as a mother? My dad scolded my mom so sternly that she was left speechless. Then he looked around and said seriously, I will investigate the matter of the scribbles on the wall thoroughly. Fiona panicked. It was clear she hadn't expected James, who rarely interfered in household matters, to investigate such a minor issue. She could no longer keep up the act here and quietly slipped out of the room. True to his word, my father immediately launched an investigation, gathering everyone in the household in the garden to question them one by one. Fiona had just sneaked out earlier to make preparations. The shit-stained wall was ultimately blamed on a maid named Lucy. The reason was that Lucy had secretly tried on Fiona's new dress and was scolded by the butler, Bob, when he caught her holding a grudge. Lucy deliberately defaced the wall in revenge and has since fled on her own. My father gave my mother a severe scolding. My mom felt a little guilty, but not much, because the scales in her heart always tipped in Fiona's favor. Fiona wiped her tears and insincerely apologized to me. I'm sorry, Mia, I was just so scared earlier, knowing you've never really liked me. I believed the servants and thought it was you who did it. My mom spoke up for her. Mia, your sister didn't mean it, don't take it to heart. My dad didn't hold back. Fiona, are you being sarcastic and implying that my Mia is intolerant? Is this what you call an apology? If you want to apologize, say, I'm sorry, properly. Don't insult my daughter with your veiled insults. Fiona was stunned into a fossil. It took her a while to react, and she cried even louder. Dad, I'm your daughter too. How could you say that to me? My mom hugged her heartbroken. Honey, what's gotten into you today? How could you hurt Fiona like this? Fiona continued her act. Woo-woo, it's my fault. I made Dad angry and disrupted the peace at home. I should just move out. Woo-woo, I'll leave right now. Mom, please don't stop me. Woo-woo. My mother couldn't bear it and held her even tighter, about to speak up to console her, but my dad beat her to it, responding with unusual decisiveness. If that's the case, then fine, Fiona, go pack your things and move out right now. Caught completely off guard, Fiona froze in shock once again, turning into a statue. My father instructed butler Bob, go pack Fiona's luggage and have the driver take her to stay at the school dormitory. Seeing my father meant business, Fiona panicked and hugged my mother tightly. Mom, woo-woo, I can't bear to leave you. My mother frowned deeply. Honey, Fiona has never lived away from home, James said sternly. You shut up. It's because you've always spoiled her. Never distinguishing right from wrong, that this family has become such a mess. If you say another word for her, you can move out too. My dad got angry, and even my mom didn't dare to plead for mercy anymore. After all, the incident where Fiona wronged me today was right before everyone's eyes. My mom shot my dad an annoyed glare, then turned to comfort Fiona. Then go live outside for a while. Mom will arrange a place for you, making sure you live comfortably. Fiona appeared obedient and aggrieved on the surface, but the look she gave me from the corner of her eye was as venomous as a snake. The breakfast table before me was unusually lavish, especially the large meat buns I love so much. They gave me a full 5 of them. You should know, ever since Fiona found out I loved these meat buns, the family chef had never made them for me again. All the servants, too, completely reversed their previous neglect and disdain, now treating me with utmost respect. Just after waking up in the morning, James made a show of authority in front of everyone. Early in the morning, butler Bob began preparing everything Fiona would need for her outing. Not only were all her clothes packed, but he also selected the best chef from the household, 2 drivers, 2 security guards, 4 maids, 5 luxury cars, and so on, all to be taken along to serve Fiona. My dad immediately flew into a rage upon seeing this and asked Butler Bob who had authorized such extensive preparations. Butler Bob played the seniority card, saying he had raised Fiona himself and was worried she might suffer outside, which was why he had prepared those things for her. My father was furious. She's going there to study, not to enjoy herself, and since when does a butler get to make decisions for this family? He confiscated everything Butler Bob had arranged for Fiona and then, with a wave of his hand, fired him. Butler Bob pleaded in vain and then began wailing and cursing, calling my father heartless and ungrateful. My dad had the security guards drag her out and throw her out. Butler Bob was a veteran who had worked for the James family for over a decade, yet my dad fired him without hesitation, with her example fresh in everyone's mind. All the servants instantly realized the power dynamics in the household had shifted. As a result, no one dares to show me the slightest disrespect now. Not only was he very respectful, but there was also a sycophant who suggested to my dad that after Fiona moves into the dormitory, her room should be completely renovated and given to me, because Fiona had always been treated like a princess by my mom. Her room was the largest, brightest, and most comfortable in the entire house, with a walk-in closet alone covering over 200 square meters. My dad was delighted to hear this and readily agreed, even giving the sycophant a bonus. Seeing this, the other servants also started vying to curry favor with me in every way they could. I don't know what caused James to have such a drastic change in temperament, but since he's willing to give, there's no reason not to take it. If he reverts back to his old coffin-board self, I can always cut ties again and leave without delay. Play it by ear and enjoy the benefits first. That night, Fiona stayed locked in her room and didn't even come out for breakfast. As I was eating breakfast, my dad came over and asked me with concern if there was anything else I wanted to eat. He said to let him know if I did, and he'd have someone make it or buy it. I happily munched on a big meat bun and shook my head. My mom also came over, gave me a cold glance, and quietly complained to my dad, "Honey, you were too harsh on Fiona yesterday. She cried all night. and her eyes are swollen like peaches. It breaks my heart. My dad placed a bowl of chicken soup in front of me, telling me to eat the steamed buns with the soup and reminding me to take my time. Then he furrowed his brows and said to my mom, "Honey, you need to understand one thing. Mia is our biological daughter, the one who shares our blood. I know we raised Fiona, and you have deeper feelings for her than for Mia. I don't expect you to devote yourself entirely to Mia, but at least don't favor one over the other, okay, right now? I don't have the energy to care about others. I just want to properly compensate my own daughter. I want to protect her from being bullied and ensure she lives a smooth, worry-free life." I looked up at my mom and noticed her expression was somewhat unnatural, but she quickly regained her composure and defended herself. "How am I favoring one over the other? The monthly allowance I give to each of the kids is the same, okay?" She then changed the subject. All right. If you won't bother with Fiona, you can't ignore your own son, can you? Harry hasn't come out of his room since dinner last night." My dad replied impatiently, "Isn't that what you're here for as his mother? You go check on Harry. I'm going to have breakfast with my daughter." My mom was speechless. After breakfast, my dad stood up and insisted on driving me to school himself. Fiona, who had been absent all day, finally emerged from her room. She was pulling a suitcase by herself, her pale face still stained with tears, making her look pitiful at first glance. My mother was heartbroken and quickly ran over, ordering the servants to help Fiona with her suitcase, then asked with concern what Fiona wanted to eat or drink. Fiona whispered that she didn't want anything, and as she raised her head, tears threatened to roll down again, until she saw my father take out an unlimited black card from his wallet. Her tears instantly dried up as she put on a coy smile, cooing sweetly, "Daddy, my allowance is enough, but since it's your kind thought, I'll accept it. Thank you, Daddy, I'll use it well." With a bashful expression, she reached out her hand, going straight for the black card in my dad's grasp. However, my dad instead handed the card toward me. "Mia, you take it and use it." Fiona was stunned, then utterly shattered, abandoning her usual sugary tone as she shrieked in disbelief, "Dad," my dad frowned, "didn't you say your allowance was enough? If you have enough money, why do you need a card?" After witnessing my dad's series of actions, my mom was calmer than Fiona, but she strongly disagreed with his approach. She said, "Honey, Mia has never used this kind of card before, and she's still a student. She already gets plenty of allowance. She doesn't need it." But my dad forcefully shoved the black card into my hand. "Exactly, because she's never used one. She should start learning now. Mia is 17. There are so many things she needs money for: study materials, clothes, bags, watches, hair accessories. Which of these doesn't require money? How could she not need it?" Fiona stared at the black card in my hand, her eyes practically dripping with envy. I noticed her fists trembling with tension, and I couldn't help but feel a bit smug. So, with a compliant expression, I pocketed the card. My dad insisted on driving me to school himself. Fiona's expression was extremely unpleasant, especially when she looked at me. Her eyes were filled with a fierce, ruthless intensity. It was a gaze that seemed determined to kill me. Just as we were about to get in the car, my mother's panicked cries suddenly rang out from the villa. Harry, what's wrong with you? Wake up, don't scare me." Because Harry had fallen into a coma while sleeping, my dad couldn't get away, so he had the most senior driver in the family take me. Fiona left first in another car. I had the driver drop me off at the designated bank. After presenting the card my dad gave me, I received top-tier VIP treatment. The whole process took less than 10 minutes. I withdrew $50,000 in cash and stuffed it into my backpack. Back in the car, I pulled out the class directory and found Jim's phone number. I called him. Jim was the school bully, fearless in fights, even more ruthless than the gang that bullied me. That's why, on campus, that gang feared no one, except Jim. When I first transferred schools, Jim happened to see and help me once when they were bullying me. After that, those people didn't dare to hit me in front of Jim, but they beat me even more brutally in the girls' restroom. To avoid leaving visible injuries, they held me down and pricked me with needles, kicking and stomping on my stomach. They never stopped doing vile things like putting dead mice in my backpack or pouring pig's blood into my desk. I told my family about being bullied at school, but they were all too busy, and they couldn't imagine that school bullying could be fatal. None of them had experienced it firsthand, so no one took it seriously. After suffering retaliatory bullying from that group, in my previous life I didn't dare ask Jim for help again, but in this life, I need to protect myself. I called Jim. I'm Mia. I want to hire you as my bodyguard. Wait for me at the school gate, and I'll give you $1,000. Jim was short on money. He wore the same school uniform until it had holes and still didn't buy a new one. I guessed right. He was indeed short on cash. He agreed without hesitation the moment I asked. I asked again, what if it's a girl? Would you hit a girl? Would you dare to enter the women's restroom? Jim laughed carelessly on the other end. If the boss says hit, I'll hit. If the boss says enter, I'll enter. On campus, that group was already waiting at the main gate. In my previous life, I was insecure and always kept my bangs long, almost covering half my face, walking with my back hunched and my head down. I've tied my hair up into a high ponytail now, exposing my entire face. I walked down with my body held straight as I entered the campus. When they saw me, they flashed malicious grins and began following me from a distance of 2 or 3 meters. From afar, I spotted a lean, upright figure striding over from one of the academic buildings. My anxious heart instantly steadied, and I straightened my back even more. As I passed by the restroom area, the leader of the group, a burly guy, grabbed me by the shoulder. A group of people blocked others' view and roughly shoved me into the women's restroom. Several female students who were using the restroom fled in panic as if they had seen a ghost, pulling up their pants as they ran. It was clear these people were sent by Fiona, because the moment they opened their mouths, they demanded the black card from me. I stayed silent. They grabbed my backpack, pressed my head down, trying to shove my face into the toilet. At that moment, Jim walked in, like a hurricane. His long legs swept through, knocking down several vicious bullies in one go. Then he grabbed the leader, the biggest one, and beat her relentlessly. He kept pounding until the big guy was bleeding from his nose and mouth, then shook his fist. Whoever dares to lay a finger on Mia again, I'll fucking kill them. I've got a psychiatric diagnosis from the hospital. I can kill you all and the cops won't even care. Now get the hell out of here. The bullies, seeing the big guy's miserable state, turned pale as ghosts, not daring to make a sound. They dragged the big guy away like a pack of stray dogs, fleeing in panic. I stood there, stunned. A wave of bitterness washed over my heart. It turns out these people were all just bullies who preyed on the weak. It turns out that just $1,000 could have helped me weather the storm of relentless bullying. In reality, my monthly allowance was several $1,000s, but in my past life, out of fear and timidity, I never even considered resisting. Let alone dared to, letting them take all my allowance with their menacing threats. Entering the classroom, Jim, who had taken my money, moved my desk to the back. Because he sat in the last row, he placed mine side by side with his. Fiona, sitting in the middle, watched this scene from afar. Even at that distance, I could almost hear her grinding her teeth in anger. I looked at Jim, who was sleeping with his head buried, feeling an unprecedented sense of security. I had $50,000 in cash on hand, enough to hire him for quite some time. During English class, the test papers were handed out, and I failed. The teacher's expression was grim when she looked at me. After class, a girl sitting in the farthest corner of the 4th group walked over with her head lowered. Her eyes were timid, barely daring to look at me, as she stammered in a low voice, Mia, I can tutor you in English. Could you let me go to the bathroom with you from now on? I recognized her. Her name was Judy. She was good at Chinese and English, but she was also another target of bullying by that group. I glanced at Jim, who was still sleeping beside me, hesitated for a moment, and then agreed. Taking one is taking two is also taking. At worst, I'll just give Jim a bit more money. I'll consider it as paying for an English tutor. However, what I didn't expect was that before the day was even over, I no longer needed to pay Jim to be my bodyguard. When classes ended in the morning, on my way to the cafeteria, I was stopped by a group of sobbing middle-aged men and women. They apologized to me and begged for mercy. Seeing that I remained silent, 2 of them even knelt down before me. Miss Sue, my daughter deserves to die. It's my fault for not disciplining her properly. I won't let her off easy when we get home. Please show her some leniency. She's just started her senior year of high school and will take the college entrance exam next year. If she's sent to juvenile detention, her life will be ruined. Yes, Miss Sue, please be merciful. Could you speak to your father and spare my daughter this once? I'll do anything you ask. Auntie will do anything for you. Not long after, an elite-looking man ran up to me and politely explained the situation. Only then did I realize that the driver who had brought me to school earlier, after overhearing my phone call in the car, Had taken photos of the bullies following me and reported everything to my dad. My dad didn't even wait for Harry to wake up from his coma. He immediately sent people to handle the matter. This elite man was my dad's assistant, following my dad's orders. He brought along a top-tier lawyer, determined to take the bullies who had harassed me to court. The ones kneeling and begging for mercy were the parents of those people. I was taken to the principal's office and saw those people again. Each of them had been beaten black and blue by their parents, curled up on the floor wailing like ghosts and howling like wolves, with assistants and lawyers handling it. I didn't need to worry. I didn't pay attention to the parents begging for mercy from me. The assistant's phone rang, and he handed it to me. It was my dad, on the other end. He was sobbing uncontrollably, his voice distorted by tears. Dad can't face you. I'm sorry, Dad deserves to die, Dad isn't worthy. He cried until he could no longer make a sound, and after a long while, he continued hoarsely, Dad had a dream yesterday. In the dream, Mia, you said you regretted being brought back to us. You tried so hard to fit into this family, but we kept pushing you away again and again. You went from disappointment to despair, and then, you took a path of no return. After waking from that dream, Dad just wanted to make it up to you, to love you, to cherish you, but Dad never imagined, my daughter. My poor daughter who suffered for 17 years out there, after transferring to this so-called elite school, would be bullied relentlessly, tormented like an animal by those vile creatures, enduring a living hell. Even as you grew thinner day by day, we were so caught up in our so-called work that we turned a blind eye. What should I do? How can I ever heal my daughter's pain? I can't. I know I can't. No matter how many times I die, it won't make a difference. Don't forgive your father. Never forgive him in this lifetime. Promise me, never forgive. The chairman of a major corporation, unable to suppress his heart-wrenching sobs of extreme pain, I gripped my phone tightly, remaining silent for a long time. Belated familial love is cheaper than grass. He wants to give me money. I'll take it. He wants to pay for my education. I'll take it. He wants to give me a house and a car. I'll take those too. As for anything else, forget it. Those demons completely disappeared from the school. Some time later, my dad's assistant even came to tell me specifically that my dad was dealing with the parents of those who had bullied me. My dad was going to make sure they were all completely finished. Without their parents as backup, those people would never be able to turn their lives around again. It's unclear what benefits Fiona had previously given them or what promises she had made, but in the end, not a single person revealed that Fiona was the one behind it all. After my dad funded the construction of several teaching buildings for the school, the principal and teachers started treating me with great respect. Rumors spread among the students that I had a powerful background and an impressive family, not only in our class but even in neighboring classes. Students actively sought to befriend me and my good friend Judy, but they could barely be friends with us for a few days before cutting off contact. Judy found out that someone had paid those classmates to stop being friends with us. I knew immediately. It was Fiona. Ever since I started gaining popularity, Fiona had been even more frantic about paying to make friends at school, handing out red envelopes, gifting jewelry and bags, treating everyone to milk tea and snacks. He was practically throwing money around like a charity fairy. After Harry fell into that coma that day, he remained unconscious for 3 straight days. When he woke up, he started acting a bit strange. This top student, famous throughout the school for skipping directly from 10th to 12th grade, stubbornly insisted on being demoted back to 11th grade to repeat the year. He didn't even choose the elite class for second-year students, but instead opted for the regular class where Fiona and I were. From the moment this news arrived, our homeroom teacher and several subject teachers were all beaming with joy, practically floating as they walked, and the one floating even more dramatically was Fiona. She practically wanted to grab a loudspeaker and broadcast this news to the entire class, so even before Harry arrived, all the classmates already knew that the top student Harry was her younger brother. In truth, James had given strict instructions to all his children, requiring the Sue family offspring to maintain a low profile outside and never reveal their familial relationships to outsiders, to avoid unnecessary trouble and danger. Clearly, Fiona had already thrown this instruction to the wind. Being Harry's older sister made her even more popular than when she was just playing the role of a generous benefactor. Some wanted to be her good friend and then get tutoring from Harry. Some wanted to ride on the academic success of a top student, and a large portion wanted to be her future sister-in-law. Because Harry wasn't just a genius top student, He was also incredibly handsome. The debate post about him and school heartthrob Jim on the school forum remains highly popular to this day. On the day Harry was about to transfer to our class, several girls rushed to switch seats around Fiona, leaving only the spot next to her vacant, reserved for Harry. Fiona's desk was stuffed with colorful love letters and various small gifts. I heard when Jim first appeared at school, people sent him gifts too, but after he mercilessly threw them into the trash, coupled with witnessing his fierce demeanor when hitting someone, no one dared to send him anything anymore. Forget about giving gifts or love letters. Even seeing him would make people tremble and quickly walk the other way. Hearing footsteps outside the classroom, the girls near Fiona started buzzing with excitement. Ah, he's here, he's here. In my lifetime, I actually get to be in the same class as a super genius. I'm so proud. Fiona, the top student brother likes white the most, right? I deliberately wore a white dress today and even got caught for not wearing the school uniform this morning, standing in punishment for over an hour. Woo-woo, the top student must notice me more. Fiona, we agreed. I'll cover your duty for a week. And when your brother comes to find you later, you must help me give him the chocolate, okay? Will the top student brother be very aloof? I noticed he doesn't talk much at school usually. Fiona smiled coyly. Harry is just quiet around outsiders. With me, he's a chatterbox. He's been clinging to me since we were kids, so when he sticks to me every day in our class, you all better not laugh, okay? He must have transferred here for you, right? You siblings have such a great relationship. It's really enviable. Judy leaned in and whispered to me, Mia, do you think Harry is really Fiona's brother? They both have the last name James, but we've never heard about it before. Speaking of the last name James, Mia, you share the same surname as the top student too. While jotting down English vocabulary, I replied, it's none of our business, don't bother with it, but the top student is really handsome. Mia, do you like guys like him, even Jim, who usually only sleeps when he enters the classroom, rarely opened his bleary eyes and looked at me? I decisively shook my head. Judy let out an, oh. Jim then closed his eyes and went back to sleep. Harry followed the homeroom teacher into the classroom. The classroom was unprecedentedly quiet. The homeroom teacher excitedly introduced Harry and told him to choose any empty seat he liked, or that he could adjust the seating arrangement if Harry had a specific spot in mind. I looked up. Just happened to meet Harry's eyes directly. He was also looking right at me. I couldn't help but freeze for a moment, perhaps because he had been unconscious for several days. Harry had clearly lost a significant amount of weight. He stared straight at me, his eyes bloodshot as if he had been crying. The expression on his face at that moment still seemed to be holding back tears. A girl stood up and took the initiative to introduce herself to Harry, following her lead. Many other girls and boys stood up, introducing themselves to Harry and wanting to be his friend. Harry's dark eyes remained fixed on me, not glancing at anyone else. It wasn't until the homeroom teacher urged him to speak that he finally opened his mouth. I came to this class for one person, to protect her, study with her, and take the college entrance exams together. That person is my sister. The classroom erupted in groundhog-like screams, cutting him off. The girls gathered around Fiona pounded their desks in excitement. Fiona, the top student just said he came specifically for you. Ah, so heartwarming. Fiona couldn't hide her smug expression but pretended to be reserved, covering her mouth as she laughed. This guy, really? I told him not to be so flashy. How could he do this? So annoying. Sure enough, Harry strode over with his long legs, heading straight for Fiona's seat. The girls' screams grew even more frenzied. Harry stopped beside Fiona's seat. Fiona gracefully rose to her feet, cooing in a playful tone, you naughty little brother, always causing such a fuss. Who needs your protection? Who cares if you keep me company? Instead of staying in your senior year class, you had to come down to the sophomore level. Just wait till mom and dad hear about this. Though her words were teasing, she deliberately spoke loudly enough for the entire class to hear. Yet, Harry didn't even acknowledge her. He simply reached over, pulled out the empty desk beside her, and grabbed a chair. Tall and strong, he effortlessly hoisted the desk onto his shoulder with one hand and carried the chair in the other, making his way toward the seat where I was sitting. The screaming girls seemed to have their throats suddenly squeezed, their shrieks abruptly cut off. Apart from the sound of Harry's footsteps, the classroom fell into a deathly silence. Standing Fiona, among all the seated students, looked like a statue, but this statue was alive, for her face was changing colors: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, a spectacle too vivid to describe. Harry moved the desk to the aisle next to mine and set it down, then patted my sleeping deskmate and said, "Hey, classmate, mind switching seats with me? Could you move your desk back one spot? Mia is my sister." All the students were shocked. The level of shock was so intense that many students' eyes nearly popped out of their heads. Jim woke up, but instead of looking at Harry, he stared at me. I spoke up to refuse. "Harry, I'm not your sister, and I won't sit with you. If you insist on sitting here, I'll change seats." Harry's eyes turned even redder. "Sis, didn't you hear her say she doesn't acknowledge you as her brother?" Jim spoke up for me, his sharp eyebrows furrowing in an unfriendly manner. His expression was fierce, looking very much like he was ready to fight. The teacher seemed afraid of offending anyone and remained silent. Harry looked at me with reddened eyes, while I kept a cold expression and didn't glance at him. He stood there alone for a while, then quietly placed his desk behind me and sat down. The homeroom teacher was the math teacher. In class, the teacher assigned homework, and I frowned while chewing on my pen, as I couldn't solve several of the problems. Not long after, a note was tossed to me from behind. Suspicious, I unfolded it to find a neatly written sheet of paper with the step-by-step solutions to the problems. I was inexplicably startled, feeling that Harry's unusual behavior was somewhat similar to my dad's recent actions. Could it be that Harry also had a dream about my tragic death in the previous life? After class, some girls wanted to ask Fiona what exactly had happened, but she ignored everyone, burying her face in her desk and sobbing uncontrollably. The classmates exchanged bewildered glances. They looked at Fiona, then at Harry, and finally at me, each with a complicated expression. A shadow fell over me. It was Harry. His large, well-defined hands held a stack of books as he placed them on my desk, his fair face slightly flushed. "Sis, take a look at these reference books. If you don't understand anything, ask me. I'll explain it to you." After setting the books down, he returned to his seat. I couldn't figure out what Harry meant by this. Remembering his previous coldness and indifference, I returned the books to him. Another girl ran to Harry's desk with a book, blushing as she asked him a question. Harry refused, saying he was too busy. Since Fiona never mentioned again that Harry was her brother, some bold students couldn't resist and cautiously asked Harry, "Harry, is Fiona your sister?" Harry only replied with two words, "Nope." After a pause, he added, "I only have one real sister, and that's Mia, not far away." Fiona started crying again. As if he hadn't heard, Harry pulled a chair over to my side, picked up a reference book, and opened it. "Sis, your previous school probably didn't keep up with our curriculum, so these books might seem challenging to you. Don't worry, I'll explain them to you." I replied indifferently, "No need." Harry insisted. After I refused, he took the problem set himself and started explaining and answering the questions beside me, like a monk chanting scriptures. To be honest, after his explanation, even the most difficult problems seemed as simple as single-digit arithmetic. Jim, who had been sleeping nearby, slammed a book on the table and interrupted Harry impatiently. "Aren't you annoying? Mia said she doesn't need your tutoring. Can't you understand human speech?" Harry met his gaze fearlessly. "Even if my sister is annoying, I'll still help her with her studies. I'll stay by her side until she gets into the university she wants. If you find it bothersome or noisy, you can change seats. No one's stopping you. Say one more word, just one more, and I swear I'll punch you." Jim, unable to argue back, rolled up his sleeves and resorted to threats. I held him back. Jim frowned. "Mia, you're not actually considering letting this nerd tutor you, are you?" I remained silent, took one of Harry's reference books, and tacitly agreed to let him tutor me. In this life, going to university is my goal, and Harry is indeed an excellent tutor. Might as well make use of him. Harry looked at me, his eyes turning red again, as he piled stack after stack of study materials onto my desk, covering every subject. Jim scratched the back of his head, raised an eyebrow, and said, "Then I'll join Mia for tutoring too. I'm gonna get into university as well." "Harry, you're not good enough." "Jim, you bookworm, just you wait." Judy also blushed and chimed in, "Mia, I'm not very good at math and physics. Can I join your brother's lessons?" To everyone's surprise, Harry agreed immediately after hearing her. "Sure, you're my sister's good friend, and I'm her brother, of course. You can join the lessons." Judy was so excited that her scream nearly lifted the classroom roof. Many classmates were green with envy. Fiona sulked for a few days but eventually took the initiative to approach Harry. looking utterly aggrieved. Asking him where she had gone wrong and why he had to embarrass her, Harry calmly replied, "I didn't embarrass anyone. If you feel embarrassed, look for the problem within yourself. It has nothing to do with me." Fiona started crying again. Then she seized another opportunity to pitifully ask Harry to tutor her. "Harry, no time." Tears instantly streamed down Fiona's face. "You have time for Mia, Harry. I'm the one who grew up with you since childhood. How long has she been here? Can her bond with you compare to ours? Harry, she's my biological sister." Fiona burst into tears. "Fine, I'll go find Mom. I'll have Mom come to school to prove it, to prove I wasn't lying at all." "Harry, I'm not lying either. You're definitely fake. Mia is my parents' real daughter, my biological sister, 16, after finishing a monthly exam. The holiday was just around the corner. The school was holding a celebration in the auditorium the night before the holiday break, and family members were invited to attend. Over the past month, Harry had been tutoring me relentlessly. On top of that, Jim took the initiative to handle all my logistical tasks: fetching water, getting meals, buying snacks, collecting books and assignments. He insisted on doing everything for me, and would get angry if I tried to stop him. As a result, the only thing left for me to focus on was studying. Hard work pays off. As a middle-ranking student in my grade, I made remarkable progress in this monthly exam and surprisingly advanced into the top 10 of the grade. During the National Day celebration, there was a segment where the top 10 students of the grade would go on stage to receive awards. Fiona, however, was far from making it into the top 10. Upon seeing her scores, she tore all her test papers into pieces. Now, every time she looks at me, her eyes are green, like a viper's. With her grades, she wouldn't have made it onto the stage for the National Day celebration, so she signed up for a cultural performance instead. In front of the whole class, she called my mom on her phone, deliberately putting it on speaker, and after announcing her performance news, she asked my mom to prepare her costume and jewelry. She cooed into her phone, "Mom, I want a one-of-a-kind performance outfit. And some sparkly jewelry too." "Okay," my mom replied, "no problem. I'll have the outfit custom made for you and get you a diamond necklace." Fiona pretended to be shocked. "Won't that be super expensive? Last time we went to that auction together, I think a diamond necklace cost like 7 figures." "Right, that amount is nothing for our family. Don't worry about it at all. Just focus on practicing, and you'll amaze the whole school when the time comes." "Thank you, Mom, I definitely will." Harry couldn't bear to listen any longer and rushed over to forcefully end their call. Fiona shouted, "What are you doing? Who do you think you are? Do I even know you? How dare you touch my phone? Get the hell away from me." After repeatedly hitting walls with Harry, Fiona couldn't even be bothered to pretend in front of him anymore. Harry looked at Fiona coldly, as if he had just met her, his tone icy. "I really wish I had never known you either." Fiona rolled her eyes and dialed another number. Unexpectedly, this time she called none other than her eldest brother, Nathan, and again put it on speakerphone. And Nathan was at the peak of his fame. He just released a new song and immediately dominated all major music charts. Almost half of our classmates have changed their ringtones to his latest hit. If Fiona does this, it will cause chaos and leave us with no peace at school. Harry snatched her phone with a cold expression. "I'm warning you, don't you dare look for him. Get away from me. I'm looking for my big brother. It's none of your damn business. My brother is way better than some heartless, fickle bastard." Fiona snapped, biting Harry's wrist hard. Harry yelped in pain, and she successfully snatched the phone back. Nathan answered on the other end. "Do you even know whose phone I'm calling?" Fiona covered the receiver and boasted, "I'll scare the shit out of you clueless idiots if I tell you." She ran up to the classroom podium and instantly switched to a sweet, coquettish tone as she answered the call. "Big brother, I have a performance at our school's National Day celebration, and we need to invite family. Can you come watch?" "Big brother, I'm sorry, since Mom and Dad were both busy, I couldn't explain it to the teacher, so I told them my big brother would come." "Bro, this is actually the first time I've invited you to my school, and I even promised the teacher you'd come. You will come, right? If even you can't make it, I'd be so pitiful." Harry snatched her phone again, hung up the call before throwing it back to her, then stormed out of the classroom with a dark expression. The classmates all stared in stunned silence. Fiona stood at the podium, facing us with smug satisfaction, saying, "You all look down on me, don't you? You'd rather hang out with some lowly orphan than even glance my way. Is that it? Fine, this time I'll show you something big." when the time comes, you judgmental fools better not come crawling back. Begging to be my friends, even if you lick my toes, this lady won't give any of you a chance. The classmates looked at her as if witnessing the joke of the century. The night of the celebration, we, the award-winning students and performers, were all arranged by the teachers to tidy up our appearances in a lounge. Fiona silently cursed while applying makeup in front of the mirror, her eyes turning crimson with anger. Because the custom performance outfit and diamond necklace my mom promised her, she received neither. Not only did the items fail to arrive, but my mom had also been out of contact for several days after traveling abroad, with no sign of her return. Some classmates recognized the brands of Fiona's clothes and jewelry, which were not custom-made as previously claimed, recalling her earlier arrogance. They couldn't help but mock her. Weren't you going to show us something big? Weren't you going to wear a diamond necklace worth 7 figures? Haven't seen any of that. Haha, exactly. If there were a competition for bragging, Fiona, you take second place to no one. Haha. Fiona's face turned livid for a moment before she gritted her teeth and sneered. I'll remember you guys. When you see my big brother later, I hope you can still laugh like you are now. We straightened our attire and watched the cultural performances from below the stage alongside the teachers and parents, waiting to take the stage as the grand finale to receive our awards. Seeing Fiona secretly calling Nathan again before going on stage, Harry, who was sitting next to me, quickly dialed Nathan's number first. However, the call couldn't go through. Soon, Fiona took the stage. Until her performance ended, Nathan never showed up. There was no commotion at the auditorium entrance either. I saw Harry visibly relax. The host invited us, the top 10 students in our grade, to come on stage to receive our awards. Both Harry and I were on the list. After standing in place on stage, Harry turned his head and gave me a relaxed, gentle smile, whispering reassuringly, "Sis, don't worry, Big Brother won't come. I already called and told him earlier." I remained silent. I don't care whether Nathan comes or not, at this moment. Fiona is the only one eagerly looking forward to his arrival. When I first arrived at the James family, Nathan was always busy with his schedule, and in half a year, he only reunited with his family 2 or 3 times. Even when he did come back, he was constantly catching up on sleep. Apart from Fiona seizing the opportunity to cling to him and talk, he had no energy left to say a word to anyone else. So even if Nathan comes, he'll only look at Fiona. It has nothing to do with me and won't affect my school life in any way. However, as soon as Harry finished speaking, a sudden commotion erupted at the entrance of the auditorium, followed by waves of screams. The teachers were temporarily assigned to manage the order in the venue, but they couldn't control it at all, upon seeing that dazzling male figure in the crowd. The students in the auditorium, whether on stage or in the audience, basically went wild. Though he only wore sunglasses, he was still easily recognizable. It's Nathan. Unexpectedly, he actually came. True to his star status, his naturally good looks and meticulously designed styling made him exceptionally dazzling. As he walked in, it was as if he was radiating light. Fiona was so excited her face turned crimson, screaming shrilly, my brother is here, everyone move aside. My brother came to see me." No one could hear her voice at all. The school had never experienced such a grand scene before. All the security guards and teachers were dispatched to maintain order urgently. Fiona couldn't squeeze her way to Nathan's side, so she jumped onto the stage, snatched the microphone from the stunned host, and shouted excitedly, "Brother, Nathan, I'm here. Brother, over here. Can you see me?" Her voice was amplified by the massive sound system, booming loudly. The chaotic auditorium fell into an eerie silence. The crowd was astonished, bewildered, and shocked. Yet, as if he hadn't heard Fiona's call, Nathan strode onto the stage with his long legs and walked toward our group of award-winning students. Under the gaze of everyone, he stopped before me and reached out to embrace me. Then, I heard his suppressed, low sobbing. This scene felt all too familiar. It was almost identical to my father's behavior before. A sudden realization flashed through my mind. Could they, like me, have been reborn? After realizing this, I felt it more and more likely. Because I myself was reborn, you could say I know it all too well. Their sudden and completely unexpected behavior was exactly like a rebirth, so their unusual actions were actually because they knew about my lonely, helpless life and tragic death in the previous life, and now they're trying to make up for it one by one. But my dad said it was just a dream. Did he not realize he had been reborn? I was completely bewildered, my mind a tangled mess. In a daze, I saw Nathan tightly holding my hand, pulling me to the front of the stage, and choking up as he said, "This is Mia, my sister, my own, my dearest, most beloved sister." By the time I finally managed to make some sense of the situation, I was already inside a stretched Rolls-Royce. Nathan and Harry sat on either side of me. Nathan asked if I was cold, first telling the driver to turn up the temperature, then telling him to turn it down. Harry went to the mini fridge to get me a drink, bringing over a handful and asking which one I wanted. I declined them all, saying I wanted some peace and quiet. They quickly agreed, holding their breath and not daring to make a sound. When we got home, the careful and cautious group gained a new member, my dad, because I didn't agree to let him come to school to watch me receive the award. He had the chef prepare a lavish feast for us at home. For the first time in his over 50-year life, he even personally cooked, making me a steamer full of large meat buns. Each bun was pinched into bizarre shapes. Holding a plate of buns with both hands, he offered them to me, asking me to try them. Before I could reach out, our pet dog Lucky suddenly jumped up, snatched a bun from the plate, and wolfed it down in one gulp. The dog had touched it, and my dad didn't feel safe letting me eat it anymore. However, after Lucky finished eating the bun, he suddenly started barking wildly and running around the house uncontrollably. The servants tried to stop him but couldn't hold him back. After running many laps, he collapsed to the ground, convulsing all over, foaming at the mouth, and died. A servant screamed in terror, "Poison! Lucky was poisoned! He's been poisoned to death!" The house instantly descended into chaos. Money makes things easy. Within less than an hour, it was confirmed that it was indeed poisoning, caused by ingesting a massive dose of rat poison, and that rat poison had been mixed into the meat filling of the large steamed buns. It's not my dad. He's not that stupid. Besides, no matter how neglectful he might have been toward me in the past, I am still his biological daughter. Now, he's trying his best to make it up to me. Why would he possibly give me such a strong dose of rat poison, with surveillance cameras all around the house? It didn't take long to find out it was Fiona. At school, everyone only paid attention to the big star Nathan and me, his biological sister, whom he openly acknowledged. No one expected that Fiona, driven mad with jealousy, would run out of the auditorium alone, hail a taxi, and head straight home. While my dad was in the study checking how many minutes exactly the steamed buns needed, Fiona went to the kitchen, pretending to retrieve the chocolate she had stored in the fridge earlier, after finding an excuse to send the chef away. She tore open several packs of rat poison she had bought on the way, ripped open the buns already steaming in the basket, and poured all the poison into the filling. Then she took a taxi again and slipped away unnoticed. If it weren't for the dog snatching the bun, the one who would have eaten the rat poison bun would have been me, because I've always found it hard to resist a big meat bun, no matter how ugly its shape, no matter how stale the filling. I could wolf down several in one go. With a grim expression, my father called out everyone in the house to help search for Fiona. He even called the company and told everyone to drop their work, no matter how urgent, and help catch Fiona. While the whole family was breaking out in a cold sweat for me, my mom, who had been away on a business trip with no news for days, suddenly returned. In her hands, she held an exquisite black velvet gift box. After not seeing her for days, she had become so thin she was almost unrecognizable. Several fingers were wrapped in gauze, as if injured. Her gaze was vacant as she walked straight toward me. From the way her eyes softened when looking at me, I strongly sensed that my earlier speculation about them being reborn was most likely correct. Now, my mother, it seems she has been reborn too. My dad saw her, and the anger he had been holding back because of the poisoned meat buns instantly erupted. He threw a bun laced with rat poison in front of my mom. "Look at this. Look at the fine daughter you've spoiled. She actually poisoned Mia. If it weren't for Mika acting fast, your own daughter would be lying dead in front of you right now. I'm telling you, if I catch her, I won't let her off easy. How dare she poison someone at such a young age? She's nothing but a menace to society." My mom's body stiffened, yet her face remained expressionless, her gaze vacant. After a long while, she continued walking toward me and opened the black velvet gift box in her hand. Inside was an exquisitely crafted diamond necklace. Though the sun had already set, the sky wasn't completely dark yet, and the lights in the house weren't on. The diamond, as large as a pigeon's egg, still sparkled brilliantly. My father must have heard Fiona demanding the diamond necklace from my mother, which made him even angrier when he saw it now, that troublemaker, And you still made her a necklace? Fine, if you want to give it to her, I'll strangle her to death with it. My mother seemed to have lost her hearing. No, it was as if she had lost all her senses. No matter what my father was saying, she showed no expression. It wasn't until she stood in front of me that she finally stopped, took out the necklace, and began to put it on me. I watched her indifferently, unmoving. Her hands trembled violently, and it took her a long time to finally fasten it around my neck. Then, she looked at me, staring at me for a long time, her gaze almost dazed. My dad's phone rang, and he immediately answered it. Then he erupted in even greater anger. Go find him, all of you, go find him. Bring that ungrateful wretch back to me, he roared, staggering as he did so. Nathan and Harry quickly rushed to support him, after my dad steadied himself. He took a few large strides to my mom and played the recording his assistant had just sent to his phone. It was the voice of one of the bullies, who, unable to endure the interrogation in the juvenile detention center, finally confessed about Fiona. She said they targeted me because Fiona had paid them, and Fiona had explicitly told them it would be best if they could kill me without anyone noticing. That way, she would give them even more money. Hearing the bully's words in the recording, my dad, my brother, and my younger brother all turned crimson with rage. Their fists clenched so tightly they made cracking sounds. My father glared at my mother. Did you hear that? Do you know what kind of life your biological daughter had at school? While she was being beaten and bullied, on the verge of death, you were still shielding that ungrateful outsider. Do you think making a necklace for Mia now can atone for your sins? You gave birth to her but didn't raise her. Not only did you fail to raise her, you abetted the bullies. You protected the very person who tormented your own daughter. As he continued to berate her, he bent over in agony, squatting down and covering his face as he sobbed. It's not just you, we're all sinners. None of us deserve to be Mia's family. She was right. She shouldn't have come back with us. We're not her family. We're all executioners. The ones who killed our own daughter. Nathan and Harry also hung their heads, weeping uncontrollably. In the vast dining room, two people didn't cry. One was my mother, the other was me. I watched them coldly, listening as they tore open the scars from my past life once more, leaving them raw and bleeding. It hurt deeply, but I had no tears. I had already shed all my tears in my previous life. My mother still stared at me blankly, vacantly, foolishly, without moving a muscle. Until I was about to turn and leave this suffocating room, I heard my mother let out a retching sound. I turned my head. I saw her spit out a mouthful of blood. Gag, gag, gag. She spat out several more mouthfuls of blood in succession, and then, the person collapsed to the ground. My dad and the others practically turned the city upside down. After the new year, they found Fiona in a remote and filthy underground clinic. She had contracted a venereal disease and was in terrible shape, receiving treatment at that shady clinic. Upon hearing the news, my dad was the first to rush over, and I followed closely behind. My dad, who had never laid a hand on a woman before, stepped forward and slapped her hard several times, leaving her face swollen and bruised. Fiona howled in pain. Why are you hitting me? Why, wasn't I your beloved little princess? What did I do wrong? Why did you have to bring that bitch Mia back? She should have died out there after she got lost. Why did you have to find her? Why does she get to share everything that's mine? We raised you, treated you like our own daughter, gave you the best food and clothes, and yet you bullied my daughter and even tried to poison her, and you dare ask why? Where is your conscience? My dad grew angrier as he spoke, unable to control his rage. He picked up a nearby broom and swung it at her with all his might. Fiona screamed in pain and fainted. My father was still gathering evidence to send Fiona to jail, just like those bullies. But before he could collect everything, Fiona died. Due to a venereal disease, her corpse emitted a foul stench that spread for miles, and the entire street despised and cursed her. My mom has her good days and bad days. On good days, she does two things. Either she stares at me or at my photos all day long in a daze, or she stays in her crafting room, endlessly making jewelry and giving it to me when she's done. Even with fingers covered in wounds, she kept working tirelessly. No matter who called her, she wouldn't hear. And if someone tried to forcibly stop her, she would faint again. During her unconsciousness, she kept muttering incessantly, repeating just two phrases: Fiona, you're not human. Fiona, you're not human. Mia, Mia, my daughter. Using my father's money, I transferred schools. I moved to another city thousands of miles away from where the James family lived. I don't want any of them to see me off. My mother frowned, thought for a few minutes, then spoke wearily and helplessly, Mia, how about you move out for a while first? Several high-end communities near the school are properties developed by our family's company. I'll have someone take you to pick a furnished one, and you can bring a maid along. They were all extremely cautious around me. When I said no, none of them dared to disturb my life without permission. I accepted the company's shares they gave me and took all the money they transferred. Only one person stubbornly insisted on staying by my side, Jim. I went to college, pursued postgraduate studies, then started working and doing business. Jim stayed with me through it all, with the money I earned and the funds provided by the James family. After covering all my living expenses, I established welfare homes in every city I visited, adopting countless orphaned and destitute children. I did my best to give them the love that every human being deserves to experience. There is one ironclad rule in my welfare homes, unchanged for many years, that is, whether the children are adopted or reclaimed by their biological parents, if they suffer any mistreatment in their new families, cannot stay, and wish to return, then all they need to do is say the word, and the welfare home will unconditionally take them back. Then I married Jim, had children, and built our own little family. For most of my life, I never saw any member of the James family again, including Nathan, who remained famous for decades. I only ever saw him on screen, never once in real life. Many years later, a lawyer found me and had me sign for countless stocks, shares, and fixed assets. I just found out that my father James and my mother passed away one after another. On their deathbeds, they left all their inheritance to me. After hearing the story above,